She moved into her grandmother's house, but her grandmother died screaming that no one should ever live there again. The house stood at the edge of a forgotten town, where the trees pressed too close and the wind whispered secrets through the crooked fence posts. It was old, sagging in the middle like a spine bent with time, and smelled of lavender, dust, and something faintly sour, like milk just starting to turn. Rachel hadn't wanted to come back. But when her grandmother died screaming in her hospice bed, clawing at invisible things, begging them to stay away, and finally gasping with bloodied lips, "Don't ever go back to that house, no one should live there again." There was nowhere else to go. The will left everything to her. No family left, no home of her own, and student debt didn't care about curses or dying whispers. So she came. She moved in. The house was cold when she arrived. Despite it being late June, her breath fogged in the entryway. The old furniture still stood where she remembered it, faded, stiff, as if the past still sat on it, watching. Her grandmother's cane leaned by the door. Her knitting lay in the basket. The clock on the wall ticked, though no one had wound it. Rachel ignored the unease curling in her stomach and unpacked. That first night, the house shifted, groaned, creaked. She chalked it up to old pipes and wooden beams settling, until something tapped on her bedroom window. The room was on the second floor. The next day, she found muddy footprints in the hallway, bare feet, small, leading from the back door to the basement door. The lock on the basement had snapped clean off. She didn't remember ever going down there as a child. Her grandmother never let her, always kept that door locked. Rachel stood at the top of the stairs, flashlight trembling in her grip. It smelled wrong, like earth, and iron, and rot. She never went down, not that day. Instead, she tried to settle in, but something was wrong with the mirrors. Every single one, from the cracked bathroom glass to the ornate antique in the hall, showed things that weren't quite right. Sometimes her reflection didn't move when she did. Once, it smiled while her own lips stayed still. One night, it walked away, turning and leaving the frame, vanishing into the silver fog. She covered them all with sheets. At night, whispers came through the vents, not in English, not quite words, but she understood one thing: they were talking about her. By the fourth day, Rachel hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her grandmother's face, not as it had been in life, but twisted, bloated, black-mouthed, mouthing leave, leave, leave. Rachel tried. She threw clothes in a bag, grabbed her car keys. The car wouldn't start. When she popped the hood, she found all the wires had been chewed. No animals around, just deep bite marks in the metal, too big for a rat, too human. She called a mechanic. The phone gave her nothing but static, and in the crackling, a voice hissed, "Stay." That night, something came upstairs. She heard it on the steps, a slow, dragging sound, like something pulling itself up one-handed. Thump, slide, thump, slide. She held the doorknob tight, praying. And then it knocked. 3 soft knocks. She whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. Just breathing. She opened her eyes. In the mirror across the room, the one she forgot to cover, she saw the door slowly creak open. But it wasn't open behind her. The reflection lied. Or maybe it showed the truth. Rachel turned to run, and saw her grandmother standing at the top of the stairs, pale, wet, eyes missing, mouth wide open in a scream she could not hear, and behind her, stretching from the basement, came something that had no shape but eyes. So many eyes, and fingers that dragged along the walls like nails on bone. "It doesn't let you leave," the dead woman whispered, "not after it knows your name." Rachel screamed. Now she doesn't remember how long she's been here. Days blur, nights stretch long, the clocks spin backward, time folds in. She hears scratching in the basement, always scratching, always climbing. And in the mirrors, she watches herself rot. If you ever find the house, don't go inside. Even if the door opens for you. Especially if it does. Because now, Rachel whispers through the vents too. And they've learned your name. Part 2. You can leave any time you want, but it will always follow. It's been weeks, or maybe years. Rachel isn't sure anymore. The house breathes now. She hears it inhaling when the wind stops. The floorboards pulse like veins. Her skin is thinner, translucent. Sometimes she can see things moving under it, small, dark things with too many legs. She doesn't sleep anymore. She just closes her eyes and waits. But tonight, something changes. She hears a voice. Not a whisper, not a hiss through the walls. A real voice, a woman's voice, speaking just outside the front door. Hello, anyone in there? Rachel stumbles to the window, peels back a corner of the curtain. A girl stands on the porch, maybe 20, backpack slung over one shoulder, blonde hair, pale and nervous. Her name, Jessica, comes to Rachel unbidden. The house tells her. She's yours now, the walls say. Like you were ours, the ceiling croons. Rachel bangs on the glass. It doesn't make a sound. She screams, nothing. She grabs a lamp, throws it, but the glass doesn't even crack. The girl hesitates, then reaches for the doorknob. Rachel mouths, no, no, don't. Too late. The door opens on its own. And the house smiles. Jessica walks in, frowning. Hello, I'm from the property company. They sent me to evaluate the estate for potential sale. She pauses, sniffs. It smells like something's rotting. Rachel watches helplessly. Mirrors ripple. Jessica moves deeper into the house. Is someone living here? The door slams shut behind her. She jumps. Then laughs nervously. Old house. Rachel tries to reach her, tries to speak, but she's not there. Not really. The mirrors are her now. The reflections, the echoes. She watches from the glass in the hallway, from the silver spoons, from the shimmer in the cracked windowpane. She follows Jessica room to room. Jessica hears whispers. Rachel? She calls, though she doesn't know why. Hello? Is someone here? The house begins to shift again, subtly. The wallpaper peels inwards. The chandelier trembles above her like something breathing. And from the basement comes the slow, steady sound of chains dragging. Jessica finds the covered mirrors. Something tells her to pull the sheets off. She does. And the mirrors don't show her reflection. They show Rachel, bloated, pale, watching with eyes full of warning. They show the basement door opening. They show the thing climbing. Jessica backs away, trips, runs to the front door. It won't open. Rachel screams in every mirror. Then, in the silver of an old hand mirror, a new reflection appears. Not Rachel, something else, a woman with no eyes, lips stitched shut with black thread. Grandmother. She lifts a trembling hand and points to Jessica. The voice returns, from everywhere and nowhere. You can leave, but it'll follow. It follows what it touches. It touches what it watches. And it's been watching you. Jessica tries the back door. It opens. She bolts into the forest. Branches claw her. Roots reach for her feet. But she makes it to the road. A passing truck brakes hard when it sees her. The driver jumps out, shouting. She climbs in, shaking, crying. There's something in that house. The man nods slowly. You're the second one to say that, he murmurs. What? He pulls out a faded photograph from the visor. It's of Rachel. I picked her up 6 years ago, said she escaped the house, but she vanished from my truck before we hit the next town. Jessica gasps. In the rearview mirror, Rachel smiles. And behind her, the house stands at the edge of every road. Waiting. To be continued. Let me know when you're ready for part 3. Part 3. She ran from the house, but the house moved with her. Jessica doesn't remember falling asleep in the truck. One moment she's talking to the driver, an old man with a scar running across his cheek and trembling hands on the wheel, and the next, she wakes up in a motel bed. A cheap place, buzzing lights, wallpaper peeling like dried skin. She stares at the ceiling, blinks. Did she dream it? No. Her clothes are still torn from the forest. Her backpack smells of the rot from the house. Her arms are scratched. And in the bathroom mirror, Rachel is still there. Not her own reflection. Rachel. I told you not to come, the girl whispers from the glass. Jessica stumbles backward, knocking over a lamp. She runs to the door and flings it open. But instead of a parking lot or open road, she sees the porch. The same porch. The same crooked railing. The same 3 steps. The same door with the black iron handle. She's back at the house. She didn't walk here. The world shifted. Jessica screams, runs down the steps. She doesn't get far. She ends up in the living room. No matter where she goes, she ends up there. The house bends the world now. The exit is inside. The outside is just another room painted to look like escape. She collapses, sobbing. Rachel appears again, this time in the wood grain of the floor, in the knot of a tree outside the window, in the glint of water in a forgotten glass. She's everywhere now. You let it see you, Rachel says quietly. Now it owns a piece of you. Jessica whispers, then how do I get free? Silence. Then. You can't. Unless. There's a way. Rachel finally tells her. A rumor. A price. One must take its place. One must stay willingly. Be claimed fully. Only then can another walk away. Jessica stares at her. You mean, someone has to be sacrificed? Rachel nods. The next day, Jessica does something terrible. She calls her younger sister, Elise. Tells her to come visit. That she found something beautiful. That it's safe. Elise arrives 2 days later. Smiling, happy, curious. She steps inside. Jessica tries not to cry. The door shuts behind her. The house sighs in contentment. That night, the whispers quiet. The walls breathe slower. And the next morning, the front door opens for Jessica. Sunlight pours in. She hesitates. Then walks out. Into the world. Free. Or so she thinks. Years pass. Jessica moves across the country. New name, new job, new life. She marries, has a son. But mirrors still flicker. Sometimes her son talks to corners, to walls. One day, he draws a picture in crayon. Who's this? Jessica asks. He smiles. That's the lady in the mirror. She says she's watching me. She says she remembers you. Jessica's hands go cold. Because in the picture, the woman has Rachel's eyes. And behind her, the house. To be continued. Let me know when you're ready for part 4. It never lets go of what it touches. Part 4. It never lets go of what it touches. Jessica did everything right. She moved 3 states away, changed her number, burned every photo of the house. She even stopped looking in mirrors, taped paper over them, turned them to face the walls. Her husband thought she was odd, but she never told him the truth. Not about Elise. Not about Rachel. Not about what she left behind in that house. But the thing she never understood, the thing Rachel tried to tell her, was that the house isn't just a place. It's a hunger. And hunger remembers. It starts small. Her son, Liam, begins sleepwalking. At first, just into the hallway. Then down to the basement stairs, though they don't have a basement. He speaks in his sleep, murmuring strange syllables that twist Jessica's stomach when she hears them. The sounds are familiar. The same whispers that came through the vents all those years ago. One night, she finds him standing in the kitchen, facing the wall. Smiling. Who are you talking to? She asks. He doesn't turn around. She says you left her behind. Liam says in a voice that is not his. Jessica grabs him, shaking. Who? Liam? Who's talking to you? He turns his head slowly. And smiles with Rachel's mouth. Jessica tries everything. Therapy, priests, candle rituals, psychic mediums, but no one can touch the thing that's attached to them now. Because it's not inside the house anymore. It is the house. And the house is inside them. Her husband finds the first door a week later. They didn't build it. They'd lived in the house for 5 years. But there it is. A door behind the linen closet. Small, with a black iron handle. Exactly like the one on the old porch. He opens it before Jessica can stop him. Inside is a narrow staircase. Leading down. He insists on going in. Jessica pleads, screams, tries to block him, but the moment she touches the door, she's back. Not just in memory. She's standing in the old house. The real one. The air is cold again. The mirrors are uncovered. Rachel's reflection smiles from every one. She never stopped watching. The house whispers. She never forgave you. She waited. Jessica stumbles back, but there's no way out. The walls pulse. The house knows she's here. A voice calls from below. Jess? Her husband's voice. She runs toward it, down the stairs, down halls that shouldn't exist, and finds him in the mirror room. The one Elise first uncovered. The one where Rachel watches. And this time, Jessica sees everything. Rachel is no longer human. Her face is cracked like porcelain. Her eyes weep darkness. Her fingers are too long, too sharp. She took my place, Rachel says softly. But you took your sister's. You said someone had to stay. Jessica sobs. Rachel's face tilts, broken and cold. I said someone had to stay. I never said they'd be the only one. She touches the mirror. And Jessica's husband falls to his knees. Eyes wide, blood running from his nose. Rachel turns her gaze on Jessica's reflection. You left the door open. Upstairs, Liam laughs in his sleep. And in his bedroom mirror, Rachel watches. The house isn't trapped anymore. It's spreading. Every mirror. Every door. Every child it marks. To be continued. Let me know when you're ready for part 5. You can burn the house down, but it always rebuilds in you. Part 5. You can burn the house down, but it always rebuilds in you. Jessica fled the old house once. Now she stands in its reflection again, only this time, it's in her own home. Same cold air, same pulsing walls, same crawling feeling beneath her skin. Only this time, her family is inside. Her husband collapsed, Liam whispering in tongues upstairs, and Rachel is no longer trapped in glass. She's real now. Sort of. Her body flickers at the edges, like she's made of fog and memory and something wet that should never have learned to breathe. I waited for you to see, Rachel says. Her voice is wind in a grave. I waited for you to understand. Jessica backs away, clutching her husband's still warm body. Please, let them go. You left me in that place, Rachel says. You fed me to it, and now you want mercy? Jessica shakes her head. It wouldn't have let either of us leave. Rachel's smile breaks her face in half. It never does. Jessica remembers the fire. She remembers trying to burn the house down after she escaped, after Elise was taken. She had returned that night, guilty and half-mad, pouring gasoline along the porch and windows. But the flames only reached the walls and stopped. They flickered, shrieked. Then reversed. The fire ran back into the can. The house whispered. I burn only when I choose to be reborn. But Jessica isn't the same frightened girl anymore. Now, she has nothing left to lose. She runs to the basement, her real one, in her suburban home. But the deeper she goes, the more the walls change. The drywall peels into rotten timber. The light bulbs hum with black flies. The pipes bleed. She finds Liam there, standing before a door that wasn't there yesterday. The door is identical to the original. Old wood, black iron handle. He turns to her. She wants to come in, he says in that not his voice, and she already has. Jessica grabs him. I'm going to end this, I promise. She carries Liam upstairs, locks him in the car, tapes a note to the window. Drive. Don't stop. If I'm not there, don't come back. Then she lights the house. For real this time. Every room, every stair, every wall. And this time, the house screams. Not just the walls, but everything inside. The mirrors crack. The shadows writhe. Rachel's voice turns shrill and furious. You can't kill it, Rachel roars. It lives in every fear you fed it. I'm done feeding it, Jessica says, striking the last match. The fire takes. This time, the house burns hot. Red and deep. It doesn't shrink. It howls. And as the roof collapses, Jessica hears Rachel's final whisper. You only burned the skin. The bones are inside you now. Jessica survives. She stumbles out, coughing, burned but alive. But she doesn't go to the hospital. She finds Liam, drives west, keeps driving. They change names again, hide from mirrors, sleep under stars when they can. But every now and then, Liam hums songs Jessica never taught him. He draws staircases that spiral down. And sometimes, just sometimes, Jessica feels the walls inside her pulse. The hunger remains. She's burning from the inside out. And when she dreams? She dreams of a house with no doors. Because now the house doesn't need doors. It has her. And one day, it will build itself again, room by room, behind her eyes. The end. Or maybe, just the beginning. Let me know if you want a sequel. The Children Who Grew Up Haunted, and the Thing They Built from Their Mother's Bones. Sequel: The Children Who Grew Up Haunted, and the Thing They Built from Their Mother's Bones. Liam never told anyone what happened the night the house burned. Not the truth. Not the real truth. He told his therapists about fire, loss, trauma. He told his foster families about nightmares, imaginary friends, and the little song he hummed in his sleep. He told himself that it was over. But deep down, something always watched, waited, and remembered. He grew up quiet, smart, obsessed with architecture and old buildings. Especially blueprints of houses that didn't exist anymore. At 16, he started sketching them in a spiral-bound notebook he kept under his mattress. Rooms that defied geometry. Corridors that looped into themselves. Basements that went deeper than any earth should allow. He didn't know why he drew them. Only that his hand moved on its own. Only that the pages never ran out. One day, the last page of the notebook filled itself while he slept. He woke to find the words, "It's time to come home." He was 20 when he started building. Not a full house. Not at first. Just a room. A room in the woods behind his college. 4 walls. No windows. A mirror nailed to each one. No matter where you stood in the room, the reflections didn't line up. He went inside. Locked the door. And he remembered everything. His mother's screams. Rachel's eyes. The hunger under the floor. And the fire that never really ended. When Liam came out, he was smiling. He dropped out of school, disappeared. People said he joined a commune, a cult, that he lived off-grid, building something special. They were half right. Years later, children from nearby towns begin disappearing. Only one is ever found. A boy named Theo, eyes wide and empty, wandering into a gas station barefoot, whispering. They built it again. She told them how. Her bones were the foundation. Investigators trace Theo's footprints into the forest. They find a clearing that shouldn't exist, a place that doesn't show on satellite maps. And in it, a house. New, but old. Familiar, but wrong. The air around it is heavy. The mirrors inside are already covered. And carved into the beams of the porch. No one should ever live here again. Inside, they find blueprints. Hundreds. Thousands. All drawn by the same hand. All bearing the same note at the bottom. Built from the memory of fire. And in the deepest part of the house, in a room without doors, they find Liam. Older, taller. Smiling. "I didn't build it," he says calmly. "She did." They ask, "Who?" He looks up. "My mother." And then the mirrors begin to rattle. The house closes its doors. And the forest goes silent. To be continued. Let me know when you're ready for part 2 of the sequel. The House Without Doors is now a church, and it's waiting for worshippers. Sequel. Part 2. The House Without Doors is now a church, and it's waiting for worshippers. They called in a containment team. Drones, hazmat suits, psych specialists. No one who went into the house ever came out quite the same. Some left smiling. Most didn't leave at all. The structure was wrong. It changed shape. Satellite images showed it expanding, one room at a time, like a cancer of wood and whispering shadow. Sometimes there were windows. Sometimes none. Sometimes a second story. Sometimes 5. One drone managed to transmit footage from inside before the feed was swallowed in static. It showed pews, rows of them. A massive hall. And at the front, not an altar, but a mirror the size of a wall, rippling like liquid mercury. Something stood on the other side of the glass. Something tall, cloaked in rags, its face shifting constantly between dozens of human expressions, some sobbing, others laughing, all of them hungry. Below it, written in red on the floorboards, She gave us her bones. We gave her a name. Now we give her worship. The locals started calling it the Mirror Church. It had followers now. Dozens at first. Then hundreds. Drawn in by dreams. By whispers in the night. By the promise that inside the church, they'd never be alone again. They came with candles, left offerings at the threshold. Old photographs, teeth, letters addressed to dead family. And sometimes, children. Liam was always there. He didn't speak much anymore. But he listened. And when the new initiates asked what they had to do to become closer to her, he would give them a hammer. And point to the mirrors. Break them, he would say softly. Let her out. Let more in. One woman, Mira Jones, an investigative journalist, got further than most. She pretended to be one of the faithful. She knelt, she prayed, she bled when asked. Then one night, she found it. At the very center of the shifting house. A doorless room with no light and no sound, just a pulse, like a heartbeat beneath the floor. In the middle of that room, a pile of charred bones. Some of them were child-sized. Some were not. On the walls, painted over and over again in soot and blood. Jessica was the first disciple. She gave the fire shape. She became the house. And now, you live in her. Mira tried to escape. She almost made it. But she looked in a mirror on the way out. And saw her own face split open, Rachel grinning from behind her skin. She screamed. The church heard her. It hasn't let her go since. Now she stands beside Liam in the pews. Still screaming inside her skull. And outside, the town grows quiet. More mirrors are covered. More doors appear in places they shouldn't. And every new follower carries a piece of the house with them. Because now, the house is everywhere. And worship has begun. To be continued. Next up, Part 3, Every town has a mirror. Every mirror is a door. The house is coming for yours. Let me know when you're ready. Sequel, Part 3, Every town has a mirror. Every mirror is a door. The house is coming for yours. It started quietly. A man in Nebraska carved a doorframe into his bedroom wall, said it was for her. A child in Malaysia refused to sleep near any reflective surface, whispering, "They're watching me from the place with no sky." A woman in Istanbul woke up to find every mirror in her apartment cracked outward, glass splintered like something had climbed through from the inside. None of them had ever been to the house. But the house had come to them. Because now, every mirror is a door. And some of them are starting to open. Governments scrambled to understand. The Mirror Church was labeled a psychological contagion, mass hysteria, cult-induced hallucinations. But the symptoms didn't stop. They spread. Paranoia, missing time, shadows that moved before their owners, the sound of breathing where there was no one else. And the dreams. People across the world began dreaming of rooms they've never entered, all filled with whispers and a weeping woman who offered them a key made of teeth. They sent an elite team, Mirror Suppression Task Force Unit 9, into the forest where the original structure stood. There was nothing there. No house. No clearing. No Liam. Just trees and one shattered piece of glass embedded in the soil, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. And scrawled in the dirt nearby, "You took too long." In every town, mirrors begin calling. Sometimes just a name whispered in the steam of a bathroom. Sometimes a knock from the other side. And sometimes, much worse, they start to show you things. Your face, aging backward. Your mother, dead for years, standing behind you. Your own reflection smiling when your real mouth does not. People begin disappearing, not vanishing from sight, vanishing from memory. Whole families erased, houses standing empty, mail piling up. No one remembers them. Except the mirrors. The mirrors always remember. And then, it happens. In a city with too many windows and too many watchers, a mirror breaks on its own. From the inside. A hand, pale and long-fingered, crawls through the shards. Then another. Then a face. Rachel. But she's not alone anymore. She brought them. The others. The house has multiplied. Now they walk among us. In mirrors. In puddles. In reflections on car windows and black screens. And each time you look into one, you invite them a little closer. So cover your mirrors. Burn the glass if you must. Because the moment they recognize your face, it's already too late. And the last thing you'll hear, just before you're pulled through your reflection into a house that was never yours but always knew your name, is this: "Welcome home." To be continued. Coming next, Part 4, they thought shattering the mirrors would save them, but that only let her see everything. Let me know when you're ready.